Aston Martin has changed their strategy for the better to actually try and compete in the 2023 season. And it is a strategy that I think will work, and I will explain why this is so much better for the Aston Martin team, and specifically for Fernando Alonso, on how they can actually fight for this title in 2023 in a more efficient style, and why 2023 will be extremely interesting going from now. So the Imola Grand Prix just got canceled, not even too long ago, literally a day ago. And my thoughts go out to everybody over there in Imola, and I think that F1 made a great decision. Now, obviously for the sport, we've had 5 races, they've been pretty slow paced races, so Imola was about to be an exciting one in the rain, a lot of upgrades, but it was the right decision, and I'm happy that Formula 1 made the decision super early. And the next race we got now is Monaco, but I'm talking more in the future for this Aston Martin team and what the future beholds for the team, and how they can continue to actually work upon this great package they have, and how they're changing their strategy going into the next really few races up until the middle of the season. So obviously they were expecting a huge upgrade here in Imola, but right before the really week that it was coming, they announced, or it was being reported and rumored, but now it's come to be true, an outlet announced that they're not bringing a major package, but they're bringing small parts, and they plan on bringing small parts now all the way up until Canada and Silverstone. And when I first saw this, I was like, why would they do that? It doesn't really make too much sense to bring smaller amount of parts. You won't be making as much gains, but guess what? It is actually a smarter option for the team right now, and they are going to be fully using that really 2023 advantage they have right now up until the middle of the season. The reasoning for that being is they have more time in the ATR. And that's probably been discussed a lot this year with their 110% in comparison to somebody like Red Bull, who has 63% towards the middle of the year. And Mercedes, who's also at around like 80, and you have Ferrari at 75. So all the big teams all have a lot less time to actually develop these upgrades and make them into something way bigger. Aston Martin has practically double of what Red Bull has. If they were to bring a big package right now into Imola, it'd take them like 2 or 3 races to actually optimize that full package, and then yet again, and then yet again, and then yet again. But now, as they're bringing smaller upgrades and smaller packages, they can continue to work upon that already amazing package they have right now. It's real baseline of the car with a new rear wing fitted to it, adding parts to its floor, adding to really the side pod, adding anything really that they really need to do to make this car better. But they can optimize in a way better fashion, and they don't have to rely on perfect dry sessions to actually be like, wow, now our car is in the perfect state, now we can get Red Bull. By this fashion, they're slowly going to get better race by race, which they have been doing. And if you look by Bahrain to Miami, and arguably I'd say Miami and Baku were the Grand Prix that when I was looking at from the beginning of the season, I was like, they will struggle here. There's no chance for a podium because the car is really slow in a straight line. Well, they proved me wrong, they proved a lot of people wrong, and now they have one of the most efficient DRSs on the grid. Dan Follows even talks about the car being really weak in all aspects. They have to improve everything if they're going to catch up to Red Bull. He even brings up Monaco being a track where they can really go at it with Red Bull, because it's one of those specific tracks where really the only thing you need there is downforce, and the car with the most downforce is usually the best car there. But it also depends on which driver's got the biggest balls and who's not going to actually hit the wall. And we do know that Fernando is pretty keen on being great in Monaco, but those Red Bulls will be pretty tough there. It's a track that really relies on a perfect type of confidence, but also the car really has to be stable under you. It's actually funny because a lot of drivers that drive understeer here perform usually better here. I mean, one of the few exceptions that doesn't really like understeer, like Charles Leclerc, always puts it up on pole. And that's the one that I think actually might take the win if we go into Monaco. That's where it's going to be between, I think, Alonso and Charles, and what Max can really do with his Red Bull package, but it'll be a very tight battle. But going more and more into these future upgrades and how from Monaco they're still going to be upgrading and going even bigger. And other tracks like Spain, like Canada, like Silverstone, and so on will also be very top tier tracks for this Aston Martin team. Their biggest packages will be still coming in Silverstone and Canada. They just chose to take this time out now to actually focus on upgrading their package and optimizing it a lot more. Like I said, I think this is a good idea because they already have a great package, and Mercedes is planning on bringing a big package. Ferrari is planning on bring a big package. I can almost guarantee to you when they bring these big packages in Spain, they will probably not have the best race there, but from then on, they might get progressively better. But why sacrifice one whole race weekend when you can slowly add parts to the car and have huge packages waiting you because you have so much time in the ATR? This is where Aston Martin is taking such a big advantage from the top teams, that it has time to optimize this to make it perfect on its car. So we won't be seeing some flukes like we've been seeing with the W14, like we've been seeing with the SF23. Just constant problems between the two cars just because they can't perfectly get that setup down, and there's always a track or two that throws them off. For Ferrari, the case is the tires. For Mercedes, it's really the whole entire package to where they just cannot optimize the car. Specifically talking about 2023's car, it's probably the rear end. I would talk about the rear end being the worst in the W14. Now, if you look at the AMR 23, they've already improved upon that top speed package. So now it's about refining the little parts, seeing what else they can really add. Apparently, it was supposed to be a 3/10 gain going into Imola. If they were to gain 3/10, and let's say Red Bull actually didn't bring anything, that would have been huge, but not huge enough. It's why I like them bringing the smaller upgrades and bringing more to the car little by little and being able to gain a 10th per race rather than gaining 3/10 in one, but sacrificing practically a whole race weekend because the car isn't in its optimal state. This makes them a lot bigger of a threat, even especially in the second half of the season. By the second half, they'll lose that ATR time. They won't have the 110%, they'll probably have a lot less. But they've already talked upon working on the 2024 car, which I think, now looking at it, is a great solution. Work upon as much as you can in this first half of the season, save a little bit of spare parts for the second half of the season, see where it's really going with this car, and work on the AMR 24 after the second half, because really the ATR time is split so much that they will have to now focus their efforts into next year's car. But the championship race should be on, and I think that Aston Martin definitely will have a chance if they bring it upon like this. Like this, they'll gain a lot more out of the car, and their efforts will be a lot better spent not sacrificing any weekends or really time putting into the car's setup and always finding that setup for every single race weekend. It gives Fernando a better chance as long as he keeps up these consistent podiums or higher. I mean, if he can get even to the second step, that is a big deal. But Monaco is upcoming, and I think he can take it to the fight here. Calling Spain to be another one of those fantastic races from the guy from Spain, Fernando Alonso. Let me know your thoughts down below. What are your guys' thoughts on really this whole entire strategy that Aston Martin is going for now? The smaller packages rather than the big ones. Is this something that you guys think is better? I personally do, and I think this is a way better way of going about their season rather than how they were originally going about it. Leave your thoughts down below. Please leave a like, subscribe. It would mean the world, and peace.